How are you doing?
Great.
Good. Let me move this out of the way.
Amazing.
You got it.
Thank you,
You're
CCM.
welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. How awesome is Senator Cortez Masto? She and I were in the class of 2016 together. Hi, everyone. I have a question. Ann on Facebook, what do you feel is the worst of this bill that we should be worrying about? Well, there's so much in this bill that is so bad. It begins with how much it adds to our deficit. In the short term, upwards of $2 trillion. In the long term, over 30 years, as much as 47 to 50 trillion dollars. That'll put this country into an economic downward spiral that will be hard to recover from. And I certainly don't want my 10-year-old and my 7-year-old to have to be paying back a $47 trillion a national debt. But within the bill itself, in giving those tax cuts, in putting that deficit on the backs of the American people, it cuts significant amounts from Medicaid. And frankly, Medicaid isn't just about people who are on the lower end of the economic spectrum. It's about all of us, because hospitals rely on Medicaid dollars in order to function. I sat down with the Illinois Hospital Association, and many of them said, if these Medicaid dollars go away, we are the last hospital standing in a tri-county area, in a quad county area that is serving people in this rural community. And if these Medicaid dollars go away and people no longer have access to them, our hospital will shut down. And in addition to losing healthcare, you will also be losing a major employer in the region. My next question is from Dawn. Dawn on Facebook. What are we doing to keep NIH funding for cancer research? Well, we're fighting them on this bill. We're going to push to get that funding restored. We're trying very hard to have it restored. The president is trying to send over what's called a rescissions package, which is his attempt to formalize the cuts that DOGE made to NIH funding. So we're going to fight him on both the rescissions package, which is Senate speak and legislative speak, for him trying to finalize what Elon Musk did by taking a chainsaw to the NIH budget. And it also, at the same time, in this bill, in this budget bill, is a huge cut to the National Institutes of Health. This is where we do the cutting edge research on cancer, on all sorts of illnesses, and we lead the world in this. And you know what happens when we cut NIH funding? All these laboratories shut down, and then we lose these scientists. Already, we have other nations in Europe, in Asia, that are wooing our scientists, saying, hey, you know what, you're losing your NIH funding, come to us. We'll give you a lab for 10 years, for 20 years, and you can do your research. But move to Japan, move to Switzerland, move to Germany, come here. And we don't want that kind of a brain drain to happen. So we need to make sure that we continue to fund the NIH. So Rachel Bender's audience has asked, what exactly is a budget reconciliation bill? This is basically a way to put forward the nation's budget. It's basically trying to reconcile between what the House is putting forward and what the Senate is putting forward. And we need to make sure that whatever all the bad stuff that's in the House bill, we need to go after it. And we need to make sure that we take out all of the really negative cuts to funding programs, whether it is for ag, whether it's for Medicare, Medicaid. There's significant cuts also to veteran services in this bill. It's a way for them to come through and just slash all sorts of funding. And they're using it to get around the parliamentarian of the Senate, which is a former procedure. Frankly, they're not supposed to do that. It's basically the nuclear option, riding roughshod over the minority, not listening to Senate procedures and following Senate protocols. And it's their way of shoving essentially trillions of dollars of debt down taxpayers' throats in order to, support the lifestyle of Trump's billionaire buddies at the expense of families, middle-income families that are just trying to get by. Kirk on Facebook, how can we stop the provision that it defunds the university centers of excellence that focus on services and self-advocacy for people with disabilities? These are some of the most marginalized people in our country. It's unconscionable to me that we would become a country that doesn't ensure people with disabilities have what they need to be productive members of society. I agree with you 1000%, and I'm going to fight every chance that I get. This is one of the places that we're going to push back as hard as we can on this bill to try to restore that funding. It's about the centers of excellence, but it is also about Medicaid programs and Social Security programs and Medicare programs and healthcare services. And it's also about wraparound services so that people with disabilities can get the support services that they need so that they can leave the house and go to work or go to school. But the centers of excellence are critically important for moving the agenda, moving policy around the country to support persons with disabilities. It's how, under these programs and the advocacy groups, that we move from institutionalized people as what we as the basic thing that we normally do, to actually understanding that people do better when they stay there in their own homes, when they live in the community. Now, if you want to be in a group home setting, you can choose to do that, but really what people with disability want to do is live their lives like everybody else in our communities. And if that is the best for you, you should be able to do that. But that shift in how we treat people with disabilities happened in the centers of excellence and happened with advocacy groups who stepped forward, many of whom got training in those centers of excellence. So we're going to do everything we can to push back. This is all part of the cuts that they're using. And they're basically cutting services for persons with disabilities in order to fund tax cuts for the Mar-a-Lago crowd, and that's simply not acceptable. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Senator Patty Murray, my good friend. She is the person leading our fight in this. She is pushing as hard as she can and trying every procedure that we can, and she is our quarterback among all the Democrats to push back on this fight. So without further ado, Senator Patty Murray of Washington. Hi, Patty. It's all yours, hon.